How you doing, YouTube? Matt Massive Beer Reviews. Back with a little bit of a pastry Berliner time in the form of Southern Swells Brewing. It is their slice. This is a raspberry cheesecake mixed culture sour ale. So maybe not a Berliner, maybe just a pure sour. I don't know. This comes courtesy of my boy Carson. He dropped me off a whole bunch of beer over the past month. And I'm going to be honest, this is probably the one I'm most intrigued about. Because I dig on some sour beers. When you're talking about a mixed wild culture beer, tough and soft, funky, maybe even sour, but then you throw in that component of the raspberry cheesecake. Is it going to be like super pastry? Is it just going to be kind of a sour beer with a fruit component? We're going to find out. What else is it saying here? On the back, it says, savor the decadent flavor of raspberry cheesecake in this wild culture sour ale aged on raspberries and vanilla. So let's dive into this sucker, see what she's got. We want to hear a hiss on this one. Okay, nice little aggressive little pop on that. The beer's not exploding out of there, but there's a nice kind of carbonation building up, which is a good sign. Definitely looks all the part of raspberry. Let's put it that way. A semi-aggressive pour, see how that head kind of tracks. And yeah, I mean, that is kind of a poopy pour. But I do that on purpose to kind of see how big the head's going to be. So we'll have to kind of talk through this one, let that head kind of dissipate real quick. I mean, it looks the part of strawberry cheesecake because it has very much like a strawberry quick kind of head to it. Light pink, infinitely creamy, super pillowy. I mean, it just looks like something you want to sleep on. Delicious strawberry, kind of more like they say strawberry cheesecake. It has like a strawberry shortcake kind of vibe to it for me. As far as the body goes, I mean, it definitely looks the part of a fruited beer, fruited sour, lambic, those kind of things as far as looks go. As far as the label goes, I dig this. I mean, Southern Swells labels are cool. I like them, but they're pretty much the same thing over and over again. There's kind of a picture of something random in the background and some lettering. This is one of the more abstract versions of what they've done. And I kind of dig it, you know? Kind of looks like, like a strawberry oil spill or something. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, she looks the part of a fruited sour. Let's get a nose. Yeah, I mean, there's vanilla. There's raspberry. Definitely huge raspberry notes in there. That's the first thing. I should have mentioned that first. Big raspberry, definitely vanilla, a soft tartness. Done. Smells very much like a kind of a Berliner Weiss, fruited Berliner Weiss, but how vibrant and organic those raspberries come off, and that nice touch of vanilla, which isn't too heavy-handed, but definitely present. It's kind of cool. Does she smell like cheesecake? Raspberry cheesecake? Sure, close enough. Do we care? No, as long as it tastes good. Cheers. Okay. Yeah. This is definitely more sour than what you'd expect from a base kind of Berliner Weiss. So I believe there's a little bit more going on here. Meat side. Mixed culture is a very kind of like loaded definition because it means so many different things. But you go into these and see those kind of pastry isms on the bottle and then kind of expect that much. I believe there's a bit more to it culture-wise than just a base kind of sour mash Berliner style beer. Soft acidity, a nice, bright, and biting tartness that doesn't get too heavy-handed because I believe the sweetness from the strawberries in combination with the sweetness from the vanilla kind of temper that. So it's kind of a cool kind of roller coaster ride that you get that big pop of acidity and a big pop of tartness more than acidic. It's more tart, but you have that balancing act of that sweetness from both the fruit, the malt, and the vanilla kind of counterbalancing all that. Very aggressive for a 5.5% beer. I mean, you're thinking about vanilla, it's usually a pretty aggressive flavor, and while it's definitely here, and it's definitely present, it's not like over the top, but it's meaningful, which is nice. I think this is delicious, to be perfectly honest with you. It's aggressive enough in its kind of tart sourness to kind of open my eyes, kind of wake me up a little bit, if you will. It gives me those raspberry gobs and gobs and gobs of raspberries in a very organic way. You get the fleshiness, you get the meat, you get the skinniness, and you get the seediness in there too, which I really dig. So has that little bit of kind of earthy bittering you get from crunching down on a raspberry seed in combination, the way the fruit comes off. And the vanilla just kind of, it's like a second or third player in this beer, but it's just below there, and it's not getting in the way of the beer at all. It's enhancing it and making it a much kind of more rounder, more drinkable beer, to be perfectly honest with you. I like this. I think this is fantastic. I mean, you have a bunch of beers from a brewery which has mostly been hazies, and when you get kind of one of these mixed culture fruited beers, you're not quite sure what to expect, and you kind of hope for the best, and you kind of hope, especially when they're talking about cheesecake on the label, you hope it's just not sugar water. That is not the case here. This is a really well done sour, and it showcases the elements that are listed on the label in a very meaningful, pretty, and purposeful way, but it doesn't get in the way of the beer. It's still a beer. It does give you kind of hints and bits and bobs of a raspberry cheesecake, but at the same time, it's absolutely tasty stuff. So let's talk about it. It's one of the better fruited sours I've had as late. Absolutely. Eking towards the top, definitely. I mean, this is really good stuff. And it's kind of a cool trick they pull, because they definitely give you the kind of idea of a raspberry cheesecake without getting too far in the pastry realm, or even really close to it. So it's pulling off that trick that you would expect to be pastry, but it doesn't. It stays more of a beer, mixed culture beer, than more of a kind of fruited sweetened beer, which is really cool. Value availability, no idea. Maybe Carson could chime in. Let me know what's what when it comes to price and availability, and leave you with, if you like what we like this beer. If you like fruited sours, and you want something that's not overly enamel-ripping sour, not overly acidic, but has a nice tartness to it, showcases the adjuncts really well, even with that vanilla being present, doesn't get overly heavy-handed, and just dig on fruited, tasty, slightly tart beers. This is going to be pretty awesome stuff for you. There you go. Another review in the books. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Down there if you want to talk about it. Massive Beers if you want to check me out doing the social media stuff. Beer Massive if you want to check me out doing the whole podcasting thing. And hopefully you guys enjoyed our review. Hopefully enjoying a nice little raspberry cheesecake right now. And we'll see you next time. Cheers.